Hello everybody, I'm Stephanie Haney. It is Monday, May 4th, and I'm here with your top headlines from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. We do have the updated numbers in from the Ohio Department of Health related to COVID-19 here in the state of Ohio, so I'll share those numbers with you now, also taking a look at how the numbers have changed over the past several days here in Ohio and also across the U.S. and worldwide. So for those new numbers from the Ohio Department of Health, we now have a total reported number of cases of 20,474 COVID-19 cases here in the state of Ohio, and the number of deaths in the state of Ohio is now 1,056. So far, a total of 3,809 people have been hospitalized, and of those people who have been hospitalized, 1,090 of them have been in the intensive care unit. The age range of people impacted remains from less than 1 year old to 106 years old, and the median age of people who have been impacted by COVID-19 who are reported to have had it is 51. The breakdown between males and females is 56% male and 44% female in all of those cases here in the state of Ohio. So if we compare that to yesterday, today we are now seeing 560 new cases and 18 new deaths, which is on par with what we've been seeing through the weekend and the end of last week. Now, as a reminder, at the beginning of last week, we saw a huge jump. We saw 138 new deaths in a single day at the beginning of last week. So we have been holding steady in that 17 to 18 new deaths per day range and also in the 500 range for new cases per day. So that's where we're at again today. Now, if we take a look at the U.S. numbers, we now have nearly 1,171,000 cases in the U.S. And we just looked at that on Friday here. So if we look back to Friday in the U.S., there have been 100,000 new cases reported through the weekend. That's from Friday to today. And there are a total of 68,046 deaths in the U.S. as of now. This is by Johns Hopkins University. For those who are wondering where this information is coming from, that's a total since Friday of 5,023 new deaths. Globally, there are now nearly 3,553,000 cases. That's up 274,000 from Friday, and a total of 249,076 deaths globally related to COVID-19. That's up 15,058 from Friday. So if you take a look at those numbers and how that compares, the U.S. comparing to globally, we are holding steady in that 1/3 range, 1/3 of reported cases. That is with the U.S. estimated as of Friday doing 200,000 tests a day for COVID-19 and 1/3 of the reported global deaths here in the U.S. Our governor here in Ohio, Mike DeWine, said that his original mask mandate went too far. If you remember last week, he did say that when Ohio does start to reopen, both customers and employees who are in different businesses would be required to wear a mask. He later walked that back. He said that he listened to people, heard from people who took issue with that, in particular populations who would have difficulty wearing facial coverings, and instead is now saying that it is highly encouraged that people wear masks if they are able in public, but that employees will be required to wear the masks. Governor DeWine said people were not going to accept the government telling him what to do. He said that on an interview with ABC. So now, as we said, here in the state of Ohio, wearing masks in public is strongly encouraged for the average person, for the member of the general public, but not required. As we talked about this morning, Don Shula, legendary NFL coach, passed away sometime this morning at the age of 90. And now the Cleveland Browns and John Carroll University, which he has ties to both of those, are now honoring him. He played for the Cleveland Browns for his first 2 seasons in the NFL, but is best remembered for his time with the Miami Dolphins. He coached there from 1970 to 1995, won 2 Super Bowls, including coaching an undefeated Miami Dolphins team. He is the NFL's all-time winningest coach, and he started his football journey right here in Ohio. He was born and raised here in Ohio, and he was a John Carroll graduate. And now John Carroll will be paying homage to him tonight. What they'll be doing is they'll be shining the lights at Don Shula Stadium on campus from 7 to 10 p.m. tonight as a tribute. And the flags on campus will also be lowered this afternoon. The Browns to honor Don Shula, also posted an online photo gallery remembering his time with the team and his legendary coaching career even after moving on from the Browns. Here's a statement that the Browns organization released. They said, well before he became known as the legendary Coach Shula, he was growing up in Northeast Ohio with a passion for the game we all love. We're proud of the fact that his football foundation was built in Ohio, starting at Harvey High School in Painesville, playing collegiately at John Carroll, and then being drafted by the Browns. Coach Shula's contribution to our game are unmatched. Our heartfelt condolences go out to the entire Shula family. Of course, here at 3 News, we send our condolences to the family as well. In a historic move today, the Supreme Court of the United States streamed a teleconference of its arguments. This is a result of the coronavirus pandemic, which has made holding court sessions unsafe, particularly because 6 of our Supreme Court justices are 65 or older and are at risk of getting seriously ill from the potentially deadly virus. This morning was also the first time in a year that Clarence Thomas has asked questions in an argument situation. The case that was heard today was whether the travel website Booking.com can trademark its name. So the session began at 10 a.m. when the court was called to order and Chief Justice John Roberts announced the day's case. Arguments are typically scheduled to last an hour. They wrapped up in 17 minutes and there were no serious issues. The judge asked about 2 questions each, and Chief Justice Roberts occasionally interjected just to keep things moving. Here are some nuances that you don't typically see in oral arguments at the Supreme Court. Several justices said good morning to the lawyers, which is something that we are used to doing, greeting people over the phone, not necessarily something you're used to in the courtroom as the case begins. The justices also did not interrupt each other, which is something that they do often do in court. Instead, they took turns asking their questions. The building, which houses the Supreme Court, was closed to the public in mid-March because of COVID-19 concerns, and then 2 months of arguments were postponed before they decided to hear 10 cases over 6 days this month. So this is the start of that, and things are moving along. Also, historic about this is normally so many people don't have access to hearing these arguments. So because they are streaming these virtual sessions, we now have access to being as if we were sitting in the courtroom with them throughout these arguments. Arguments will continue tomorrow at 10 a.m. if people would like to pay attention to those. Now, for coffee lovers who have not been able to get their Starbucks fix, here is some good news for you. Starbucks locations are reopening with restrictions. That's across the U.S. and Canada starting today. Most stores will continue drive-through service only, while some locations may continue to operate as drive-through and also expand to the mobile ordering and grab-and-go options. And then when it comes to employee and customer safety, employers will be wearing protective equipment. These will include facial coverings and gloves. Starbucks will also be upping its cleaning and sanitation procedures and conducting pre-checks before their shift. Now, this does include a temperature check. This is also a good time, though, to remember people that health officials do warn that many people who do have COVID-19 are asymptomatic, so just because you don't have a temperature doesn't mean you don't have it, but it's the best we can do to check and see if people do have a temperature. That's a good indicator because fever is associated with COVID-19. So people are encouraged to use the Starbucks app to locate a store and order and pay ahead before you go to Starbucks to try and pick up your things. In most cases, customers who use the app can pick up their order at the door without entering the cafe or having to go through the drive-thru. So keep that in mind. Changes will depend on the locations and the stores. Also, as we said at the morning today, it is Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. Happy Star Wars Day. It's largely been dubbed that, because the Star Wars movie, May the 4th be with you, just in case you've been living under a rock and you don't know. So if you're a Star Wars fan, good news for you today. The Rise of Skywalker is now on Disney+. So that means that all 9 of the main Star Wars movies for the first time are now available to stream on Disney+. So if you needed plans, a lot of plans to keep you very busy today, this week, through the weekend, you might want to take advantage of that in honor of Star Wars Day. Obviously, they timed that perfectly to drop the 9th movie in the series, so you can check that out. Okay, that's it for your afternoon update here from me from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Governor Mike DeWine's press conference is in progress. You can catch that on 3 News, also on the site, on our app, on Facebook and YouTube. Next, I will see you at 5 p.m. on What Matters Most. You can catch that on 3 News, also on YouTube Live if you don't have access to television. And then we will see you at What Matters Most at 6 p.m., Front Row at 7 p.m., and What's Next at 11 p.m. And I will see you all back here tomorrow, Tuesday, May 5th at 11 a.m. Everybody have a great rest of your day. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm Stephanie Haney.